let's get started.
Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of FusionLore, the podcast where we dive deep into the lore of FusionFall. We explore every mission 30 minutes at a time to piece together the story and uncover what's really going on. I'm Matt, I'm also known as Oris, and as always with our local supernatural merchant, the Magical Dealer.
Howdy.
Today's episode is sponsored by Home of the Ancients Retirement Home. Do you know a supernatural loved one that needs assistance? Is their magic all out of whack? Bring them to our Home of the Ancients, where all their needs will be met, including burial.
Right across the street. Easy removal. You don't even have to go that far. Still my favorite joke in the game.
I love that.
Okay.
That has to be a regular retro thing.
It's in regular FusionFall. The Home of the Ancients is in regular FusionFall. I went to check and I love it. I hate that I've never noticed it before. I wonder if that area was always planned to be like a spot for Dracula to be at.
Probably, actually. That makes a lot more sense than anywhere else.
Oh, we love you, FusionFall planners. Okay, I'm going to start the timer. We got 30 minutes on the clock. Matt, the thing I wanna start with before we get into anything else, because we got a lot of big topics and a lot of funny topics to talk about today. But the mission line that I want to start with is Lee Kanker likes you too.
Oh, is that the one at the end?
I want to talk about this because, for starters, before I even talk about the implications that this mission line gives us, Lee Kanker says, did I ever tell you about those stupid spawns that I locked up in our septic tank underneath the parking flush, where I should have, because they escaped? She what? She captured fusions and was like, let me put them in the toilet. Why did she do that? How did she do that? When did she do that? Were these in her septic tank the entire time we were doing the missions for her the first time? Because
probably. Because if you think about it, when we put the listening device into the toilet, there was a farting symphony.
The butt symphony. Yes, I remember.
Right. But there was no one there. No one was there. We were able to put it there. So how exactly was she hearing that?
You telling me the fusions were the ones that were farting?
Let's be honest here. Okay, so in the mission line, yes, I agree. How did she catch them in the first place? And when we actually encountered the creatures that she supposedly captured and put into the toilet, she only said they were spawns. And we chalked it up to her being too stupid, but also like stupid, like strong at the same time. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But what if, like you do have some thoughts about them, I don't want to take the spotlight from you, but you did mention that you thought that they could morph into every other mob.
Well, wait. Before we get into that, because that is like the big thing I want to talk about this mission line. I just realized, right? Depending on how long she had these fusions trapped in the septic tank is even more damning evidence to why did they help two different fusion monsters? If you yourself caught 3 fusion spawns and you trapped them in your toilet, why did you later go help 2 other fusions and was like, yeah, the new girls, these are normal you know what the fusions look like, and you still help those fusions? I'm confused. This game is gonna break me. Oh no. Okay, all right. I'm gonna push it out of my head. I'm gonna push it. I don't have the brain span to think about that right now. The big thing that you were alluding to. So she says she specifically says she caught fusion spawns, right?
Yes.
And we know fusion spawns to be the round looking slime basic fusion monsters. Yes. They're at the very beginning of the game. Now, when we go track down these escaped fusion spawns, they are no longer spawns. They are Hydro Hammer, or Hydro Hydrant, Milestone Creeper, and a Twisted Timber Tree, or whatever the name of that is. So my idea was, is this a soft confirmation that the way that fusions exist is that, like, I had said on multiple episodes of this podcast that I thought a fusion matter landed and it just corrupted whatever was nearby to make that mob. But
Right.
I feel like this is saying that every mob is a spawn that morphed into that mob. And if you want to take that a little further, does that mean that every character fusion is a spawn that has possessed the personal item of that character, and that's how they took on the characteristics, but are still very slimy?
I think I actually can get behind that, because my initial idea is that, okay, she caught a couple of spawns and she threw them in a septic tank, basically.
Mm-hmm.
But the septic tank has to go somewhere. And my whole ordeal with this mission is that we were in Park and Flush, and we had to go to Peach Creek Estates and also go back to the Peach Creek Commons for the Hydro Hammers. So, basing off of what they smelled like, we were able to determine that these were once the spawns that were in the septic tank. So my idea is she put them in the toilet, and instead of escaping, by leaving the toilet, they just went down the pipes and they got scattered around the neighborhood.
I'm pretty sure that's probably what they're alluding to in this mission line.
Yeah, so I have to get behind that idea that, yes, most fusions were start off as spawns, and maybe that's where they come from initially. They're a concentration of sentient fusion matter that spawns off of, let's say, the Terrafusers.
Right? Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking the Terrafuser oozes out the spawns.
Right.
And this is probably why Fuse needed the Gooby Traps, because the Terrafusers aren't terrafusing. They're spitting out spawns constantly.
Yes, I have to agree. Honestly, that is something that, like, I was thinking about for a while. Like, how exactly do they choose what to possess? But at the same time, whatever is in the area, there, it seems like whenever a spawn appears, let's just say, because we never see it actually happen.
No.
Whenever an enemy spawns in, it is the enemy that should be in the area that we're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
But we can assume that they're taking on the easiest possession wise in the area to create and strengthen themselves in such a way that allows them to become the consistent mobs that we find in different areas.
Honestly, I'm surprised that they didn't fuse with anything in the septic tank to become like a sewer fusion or a toilet fusion, skibidi fusion. I'm just saying.
But in the future, didn't we have what was it? No, that's an oil ogre.
Mm-hmm.
No, yeah. So honestly, is it strictly just actually, in that regard, I was gonna say, can they only use inanimate objects? But an oil ogre is just oil is inherently from a living being in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
So how?
Maybe
at which point does an item become capable of becoming a fusion monster, being able to be assimilated into such?
Well, maybe it was the act of them being submerged underwater that prevented them from merging with anything. Because to my knowledge, I will find out much later in the show, but to my knowledge, there's no aquatic fusions.
You're absolutely right.
So maybe they had to be on dry land before they could fuse with something.
In that regard, I would say it's anything lacking an inherent biological water signature.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, unless we run into some plant fusions later down the line.
Oh, brother, we did. The timber tree.
Yes, but we can assume that they're dried wood, and that's why it's timber.
I guess there's definitely plant fusions, and I'm thinking about it. I think there's some that we're gonna run into, and maybe like the next 3 episodes.
Okay, well, still in that regard, maybe it has to be a certain level of dead before it can be assimilated into a fusion.
Mm-hmm.
And that's my take on it at the very least. But yes, fusion spawns come from terrafusers and they assimilate into the area around them to create the monsters we see traditionally in the areas they're from.
Okay. All right. I can accept this.
Absolutely.
Speaking more on fusions, we did a mission line for Eduardo and StickyBeard, which was called Eduardo and the Pirates.
Right.
Which initially didn't seem like it amounted to much. We went to Foster's. Eduardo lost his Beanie Babies, and then we find some candy, and he's like, "This is actually StickyBeard's. Take it back to StickyBeard."
Yeah, the barnacle balls.
When we go back to StickyBeard, he tells us that we proved ourselves as a candy pirate, which I stuck out to me because I was like, "What? We didn't prove ourselves before. This isn't the first time we've met you, StickyBeard. We've done missions for you. We discovered a whole mutiny for you. What do you mean now proved ourselves?"
I think maybe before that, he was more of like, yeah, you're kind of like an honorary candy pirate. But in the dialogue for this mission line, I see what you're talking about. He does say you've proved yourself worthy of the pirate name. So maybe this is his step up as like, holy shit, you know, he's done a lot for me. He's done a lot of good shit for me. He deserves this title at this point. Like, maybe before it was more honorary in a sense.
It's just like, oh, that's a good kid. And then it turned into, bro, that kid is the shit.
Like that.
I need him.
I need him up on my team.
Maybe. Okay, I can get behind that.
I need to draft him for a candy pirate. Let's fit him with a uniform.
Arg. Well, after that, right? So he's like, you prove yourself. I need your help. Fusion number 2 is taking control of my ship, and he's poisoned my candy pirates. Couple of things there I want to talk about, right? One, was Fusion number 2 on this ship the entire time? Or actually, did he come in? Because we fought Fusion number 5 here, and we were told she was in charge of the ship. But we killed Fusion number 5 when we got to number 5 Nano. So did number 2 swoop in and take over the operation? Because we know they all have a hive mind. So was Fuse like, we need somebody to recapture that ship as fast as possible? Or was number 2 here the entire time and we just never saw him?
Well, okay. So in that regard, I at least have to say we've had a lot of evidence at least supporting that in some regard these fusions hold personality traits to some degree. It wouldn't be out of this universe to assume that the fusions for their respective shows and personalities and who they already hung out with, it wouldn't be out of this world for these fusions to be banding together, especially if they are from similar backgrounds. At least in my take on it, at the very least.
So you think the fusions have inherent like brotherhood? Like, oh shit, it's the fusion kids next door. We have to work together.
I think in some regard, I don't want to say like it's full on memories, but like the personality traits, maybe they're just in a sense magnetized to each other. Like Fusion number 5 and number 2 were working together, and they are both from the KND. That's almost too good to just be a coincidence. You know what I'm saying?
Actually, you might be on to something, because we had another mission line. I can't remember the name of it, but with the deck spot at the nuclear plant, where we were told that Fusion, Dexter, and Computress were working together to break into Dexter's old lab, and that's also 2 characters in our world who are closely linked together, and now their fusions are closely linked together.
You know something? And I just remembered, because I keep thinking back at Mayor and his pickles, because I have to say, him liking pickles in general, it cannot even be a personality trait. That's an acquired taste. He remembers those pickles in some way or regard. So maybe in some degree or fashion, they have the memories of them as normal people. And that's why maybe even so further, when we create them into nanos, they fully take on the persona of these characters, and we're able to use them to our benefit.
Maybe. I can see where you're going with this. I do want to talk about nanos. Not now. We'll talk about nanos later. There's so much. We did so many missions in this level 10 sprint.
Yes.
We'll end
Many
on
parts.
what I want to say about the nanos. Just to finish up at Water on the Pirates. So we go to Fusion number 2's lair. The Candy Pirates have decided to go raid it on their own, which is crazy.
Right.
What did you guys think you were gonna do? Immediately once we get there, StickyBeard's like, they've been poisoned. And I came to the conclusion that I would put money on the way they were poisoned is that Fusion number 2 had the successful mayor plan where he covered their candy and fusion matter. And they were just like, bro, it's our candy. I'm kind of hungry right now. I'm going to eat this now. And they were poisoned. And then,
so, okay.
Well, okay, what?
I actually have a little bit like, I'm going to butt back on that just a tiny bit. So, the idea that they were poisoned and we have an antidote, and the idea that you have that it could have been poisoned because of the fusion matter, like that begs the question, like, okay, if they were poisoned either by fusion matter and we have an antidote for getting rid of fusion matter, why haven't we just been spraying this in the atmosphere? Like, come on, man.
I'll do you one better, Matt. Where did we get this antidote? Did we make this antidote like on the fly? Did Fusion number 2 just have an antidote? Because StickyBeard's like, you have to get the antidote from the Candy Buccaneers. Why is there an antidote in the first place?
Hey, that's what I'm saying. So, okay, in that regard, I would say maybe not the fusion matter poison them, but maybe these fusions are actually pretty diabolical, and they're getting out some formaldehyde and shit, you know, like they're trying to actually kill us. They're like, damn, we can't seem to corrupt them. Let's just get rid of them. You know, like I'm just saying, if we have an antidote for something, that means it's something based on reality in a sense.
I would put money on that this antidote never shows up back in the story ever again. This convenient antidote just
without a doubt
never comes up ever again.
Without a single doubt in my mind, I agree with that. I feel like for the mission line, yes, it makes sense. Like they're poisoned, we need to help them, whatever. But in my head canon at least, it can't be poisoned by fusion matter, because in that regard, they would just be dead. How do we have an antidote for fusion matter and we haven't used that on a large scale already? Is mind-boggling to me.
Ooh, I know fusions hate to see us coming. You know what? I was thinking about the fact that we went in there after they decided to bum rush number 2. It's 3 of them, by the way. 3 Candy Pirates try to go bum rush number 2. And I would think that's a sound, yo, jump that fusion. But we go in there and we take fusion number 2 out by ourselves, all alone. We got it. Dead. And
they hate to see us.
Since they all have a hive mind, I just like to think that whenever a fusion sees us specifically, they start to get a little worried.
Like, oh, come on, not this guy.
Well, wait, actually, unless we sequence broke it, right? Is it what is the mission line where we fight fusion number 5 again? Not the fusion number 5 that we originally fought, which we fought fusion Wilt again. And I brought up the idea, is this the Wilt that we fought to get our Wilt Nano? Or is this a new Wilt that just like got remade? Because Coop gives up that mission and he's like, Fusion Wilt is back. So is that saying like, hey, that's the one you killed. He's back. He got remade. That spawn turned into Wilt again. Or is this a new one? Because we know there are 2 Fusion number 5s from number 5 telling us there was a number 5 on the ship and one at Foster's.
Honestly, like in that regard, it's a little weird because we kind of assume, because at one point we were also speculating there are multiple fusions of our favorite heroes,
right?
Because there was, what was it, number 2 or was it number 5 walking around Genius Grove that was mentioned?
Number 5 told us there was a fusion number 5 on the Sweet Revenge and a fusion number 5 at Foster's. She specifically said another fusion number 5, not also.
So in that regard, I think multiple can be made of the same fusion, and in some regard that they can be remade if another personal item is gained. And maybe that is Fuse's war effort. And that's why he's trying to break into so many labs to attain different things. Maybe he wants an army of Dexters.
Oh, I have something to say about that, but let me finish my original thought. Right, so I was saying the Fusions hate to see us coming, but we did a mission line. It wasn't Fraudulent Frankie. We'll talk about Fraudulent Frankie later because that was big too.
Yes.
What was the mission line called for where we pretend to be an imaginary friend?
I actually think now that you're mentioning that, I believe that was 4 or 5 of Fraudulent Frankie. Let me double check. Yeah, I think it.
No, it was Fusion Reinforcements, wasn't it? Regardless of the name, we did a mission line where we go and we trick Fusion number 5 into thinking that she made us as her imaginary friends. A couple of things about that stick out to me is that, one, should any Fusion recognize us? We have been pushing back most of Fuse's forces this entire time since we've been in the past. We've done the most work.
3 or 4.
Okay, imaginary reinforcement. We have done the most work when it comes to killing fusions and getting rid of character fusions. So I feel like since they all have a connected mind and they're all connected to Fuse, I feel like Fusion number 5 should have Wait, no, I'm fucking stupid. Because what did we do before we fought Fusion number 5, Matt? We went through the maze to get the Dracula teeth, the Coco cards, and another third thing that I can't remember to disguise ourselves. So the Fusion would have recognized us if we did not. The Fusions hate to see us coming. I was right the first time. Fusions hate to see us coming. But
it was the Coco trading cards and the Blues glow-in-the-dark vampire teeth, but I don't think it was anything else.
No, there was a third thing, but I can't remember. It was something for Eduardo. It might have been a Beanie Baby again. I'm not sure.
No. She says, "Good job. Go talk to Eduardo."
Oh, okay.
And then he said he's going to pretend you're an imaginary friend.
And then we trick Fusion number 5, and then we jump her. We stomp on her face. We kill her again. The big thing about this mission line specifically that confuses me is that I've been under the impression the entire time since episode 1 of this podcast that imaginary energy was toxic for fusions. Weren't we told that?
I had the same thought process.
So how is a fusion making an imaginary friend?
That is the biggest thing that I had. It was literally okay. So it goes back, like I don't want to call number 5 dumb, because number 5 is not dumb.
Fusion number 5.
No, just number 5 in general.
Oh, okay.
And going back to the idea that they can inherit personality traits and memories.
Mm-hmm.
So how the fuck did we trick the Hive Mind Fusion? Like, okay, it is very implied. Okay, actually, matter of fact, there was another mission that I wrote. Where is it? It was in regards to Wilt, talking about fusion. Let's see. Okay. Fraudulent Frankie 3 of 5. Wilt says Fuse has managed to take the scribbles from the house and take nasty scribbles spawn and make nasty scribble spawns. I'm sorry, this won't do. Can you help me get rid of them?
You're right. How did he make a fusion? No, because there's a fusion Eduardo. How are there fusions of imaginary friends if imaginary energy is what's toxic to fusion? We had a whole mission line where we had to go reinforce the cul-de-sac with the toothpaste from Foster's because it's the imaginary friend's toothpaste, and we already figured out a while ago that because the boxes are from Foster's, that's what's keeping the monsters out. I feel like there's like a clash going on here. Are there some?
I want to add to that real quick before we continue. Sorry. It's crazy though. It's toothpaste for imaginary friends, but we don't know why exactly when we got there that our presence was it either because we had the toothpaste and that's why the boxes weren't wilting anymore, or is it maybe because we have become so powerful with our imaginary presence and we have so many nanos up until this point that our mere presence can strengthen and empower things around us? That's my take on it. But I wanted to, sorry for interrupting, I wanted to take on the Fraudulent Frankie 3 of 5 again. We are told at every single turn that Fuse has done something inside or within a safe zone, as if we and mind you, we are capable of detecting enemy movement. So it must be true in that regard that every single piece of Fuse's monsters are all one hive mind. Because if everyone's referencing things as this is what Fuse did, and we're not detecting the big man within our presence, so it must be that they are sharing a collective consciousness in some regard.
Well, the big man is in the sky. We can see the big man at all times.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. We can see the big man at all times, but all of these heroes, all of these characters, they're telling us Fuse has managed to do something within our safety. Can you do something about it? So it's always, it's never, there's very specific fusions, but it's always, hey, Fuse has done this. This is what Fuse has done. Can you help us stop it? And in that regard, I think the hive mind theory, where they all share a collective consciousness or at least a collective objective
network
in some regard.
Of information.
Right. That's what I'm saying. They're sharing information in some way, shape, and form.
I want to touch on the thing where you were saying like we've made so many nanos that we're becoming like more powerful. Are you trying to say that, for lack of a better way to phrase it, that we're kind of like having a Superman effect in the way that Superman gets stronger the more he's exposed to the sun? Are you thinking that we get more stronger the more we create nanos?
I think in some regard, yes. Only because, and the only reason I will say this is because regardless of our equipment, regardless of our level, we're constantly gaining nanos and we're constantly locked out at 3. You say the Superman effect, and yes, Superman, regardless of his power level scale, he always has the same powers.
Mm-hmm.
Regardless, he always has the same powers. And granted, we can switch out between 3 different types of nanos and they have different types of powers. So in that regard, yes, we're switching out the powers, but we are becoming more powerful the more nanos we acquire as we go along. If you think about it in a sense, it's when we fight a higher level fusion, we're fighting to earn that level that we deserve. We don't level up before, even when we have the fusion matter cap. We only level up after we get the nano.
Right. Okay, so that would add some added context as to why we keep going on these missions to get items from absolutely every character we've come across to make a nano of them. Because I've stated before, like, why the hell would anybody want to make a Lee Kanker nano? So, and thinking that the power of a nano is inherently based on the character that it is coming from. But if the power of the nano is just inherently how many you have made, that makes so much more sense as to speculating on at this point. But when we get to the end of the game, we're able to fight Fuse's like most powerful creation, his like body that he made from his
avatar, in a sense.
His avatar, because we've made so many nanos to that point that we're imbued with so much imaginary energy and we've converted so much fusion matter.
I have to absolutely agree, and like truthfully, it's kind of like it's a step back because I didn't think about it like this prior. I was just like, okay, I'm leveling up, and every time I level up, before I level up, I have a nano. That's it. That's all I thought. It was just a general game sequence. But it never occurred to me that the imaginary power we gain from converting the fusion matter over to a nano and getting that nano in our arsenal empowers us to such a degree that we're able to keep on fighting and improving ourselves further down the line to combat, in general, Fuse's force.
This actually goes with something else that I had wrote down in the notes, where we were doing a mission for Larry 3000 where he wanted us to go fight Fuse's entire army, and that's not the point. That's a whole joke, you know. Larry doesn't understand what's going on. He's like, you seem capable, go defeat their entire army so I can go home. He doesn't really care what's going on. He just wants to go home. But when we're fighting the monster, Larry points out that the fusions like replace themselves just as fast as we kill them. And I wrote down, how do we keep our motivation when all the work that we're doing in this war is like immediately being like undone? Like,
Yes.
we killed Fusion Will. Fusion Will is back in this mission line. We are killing these monsters. More mobs are made as soon as they die. How are we hanging on the motivation? And if we're inherently just constantly getting stronger, the more nanos that we create from the fusion matter. The timer.
Oh, Jesus.
From the fusion matter that we've collected from the monsters that we are constantly beating, be it on some useless missions, some very important missions, we're constantly getting more and more powerful with the idea that we will be able to stop Fuse because of all the effort that we have put into this. I can understand what that motivation is for us to keep going.
Yes. I'm not gonna lie. I think I have to truly agree. Also, I just wanted to point out Coop is absolutely childish, but he's helpful.
I don't want to talk about Coop. Oh my God. Coop is letting me down.
Listen, listen. The only person that should really be letting you down is Dracula with his dementia, because he sent us on bullshit missions at one after the other without any regard, and it's just like, this is a waste of time. It's like, yeah, I will agree that's a waste of time. Thank you for sending me on this mission. Thanks for the credit, I guess.
We did all of Dracula's mission. He was like, I feel like I wasted your time. He was right. Oh, speaking of character, all right, so Coop is at the bottom of my personal tier list down there with Blossom. He has the potential. He's not doing shit with it. We have to constantly ask him to do shit. Though a person who has moved up on my tier list is Frankie Foster, because we had another mission line where multiple people could not tell what a fusion and a normal person looks like, but Frankie could tell. She was like, fusion number 5. Yeah, that's it. That's fusion number 5. We have another person who can recognize what a fusion looks like compared to a normal person. Is it because it was a fusion of her? And she was like, well, that's obviously not me. It must be a fusion. Or is it just because she was like, that's a green person? That's probably a fusion. I don't know. She's in the top 3. My top 3 are number 2, StickyBeard, Frankie Foster. I can't wait to find out who else gets to be in that upper echelon.
Okay, well, I hope oh my gosh, I want to also see who becomes your next top 5. Whatever the case might be. But do you have any final thoughts? Things that you want to talk about? Because I do have 2 things at the very least.
All right, spit it out. Go wrap it out.
All right. So first of all, Carl.
Oh, Carl.
The Yapatron 9000K.
A lot to say.
Man is completely unaware of what's going on around him. Yeah. He first of all, you accept a mission where, for the first time ever in this game, I had to scroll down in the
mission log.
What's it called? The mission log, just to see what this man had to say. And mind you, this is paragraphs of nonsense. Just him yapping along, all for him to give us
nothing.
Nothing, essentially.
He was yapping for an hour and didn't say anything.
It bothers me, man. He really does.
He doesn't know that. He's waiting in line to go to the comic book store, and he's like, bro, I wonder where the comic book owner is. He's running super late. I hope I don't lose my place in line, when he's the only person standing outside.
It's ridiculous, man.
Okay, what was your second thing?
Okay, so my second thing was, so in Double Fusion Part 205, okay, it's just a nail home from the last episode when we were talking about the gooby traps and all that. Dexbot Q60, he's right outside the nuclear plant, and his main job is to observe enemy movements. So I think that is fascinating to a degree, but also it makes a lot of sense, and it kind of lets us know that, hey, Fuse, and the reason that these Fuse infected zones exist is because Fuse deem these areas of interest in some way, shape, and form, and that they feel like these will influence him in helping him win the war. So I just wanted to say, like, that sounds, both, honestly, if it sounds great in my regard, because it nails in all the points that I've made in prior episodes, but also, like, damn, that's why we have to go in here and defuse these gooby traps, because, like, damn, if we don't, Fuse might win. You know, like, it gives me some
might even say it,
motivation.
That's the point of the game.
But it gives me some motivation to go do these gooby trap missions. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
That's it.
Well,
How about you, man? You have anything left?
nope. That's gonna wrap up this episode of Fusion Lore. I do want to say a huge thank you to our production team, Radio Wave, Ben Tick Dog, and Lucia L for all their help in making the show possible. Be sure to check out their socials and stuff linked down in the show notes or description below.
Hey, and if you want to join in our conversation, talk about past episodes or anything we just talked about in today's episode, leave a comment down below. Or we also have a community. You can join the Discord. Link is in the description.
And don't forget to subscribe or follow the podcast on your favorite platform so you never miss an episode. And hey, if you enjoy the show, consider leaving us a like. It really helps us out. Lets more fans find FusionFall content. And you're just doing us a favor at that point, really.
Well, absolutely. But, if you want to follow us on social too, you can follow us up for some updates on the Fusion Lore and some behind the scenes content. Oh my goodness. And sneak peeks of upcoming episodes.
Yeah, I mean, and that's going to do it. And until next time, remember to brush your teeth. If anything, this episode proved to us that toothpaste can repel aliens. Brush your teeth, everybody. I don't know why you wouldn't be brushing your teeth, but brush them 3 times. Just be extra safe. What if
you imagine hard enough, it will really improve your teeth quality. I promise.
That's true. Imagine your teeth are super strong.
You can even repair concrete with it, probably.
Oh God. Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye, everyone.
My work is done.